Hello to all Cinemaster lovers. Hope you enjoy watching. Let's get started. The movie begins in the American West in the year 1876 with a man digging in the ground, and suddenly an evil spirit comes out and enters his body and possesses him, turning him into an evil person. After exactly that, we go to another place in the American West as well, and we see Marshal Roy, the lawman, at a train station welcoming his daughter Charlotte and her fiancé Angus, who are supposed to get married in 5 days. However, Roy is not convinced about his daughter's fiancé, especially since he wished for someone who is brave like him to be her husband to protect her. But she needed a husband who loved her, and she asked him to be kind to her fiancé. But suddenly, a gang called the Sons of Samuel attacked the train station. The Sons of Samuel began killing people. Roy hid his daughter inside the station building and started fighting the gang, eventually killing their leader Zeke. However, Roy was suddenly shot by someone inside the train and died instantly. Roy's soul ascended to the sky, where he found himself in an entirely white place. In front of him stood someone named Hano, who explained that he was in a place called the Rest in Peace Department, and that she was the overseer of this place. She informed him that he had died, and that his soul was supposed to be judged, but they had chosen him for another mission since he was a skilled officer. The mission was to chase the Deados, who are the dead who managed to escape from hell and return to Earth. His task was to capture them and send them back to hell. Hano further explained that the Deados could inhabit ordinary people, turning them into Deados like themselves. The more Deados there were on Earth, the greater the threat to all humanity. Hano took him to their armory and gave him a special gun, as Deados could not be killed with ordinary bullets. She explained that they could only be killed with a specific shot from this weapon. Additionally, the same gun could also kill Roy permanently if he were shot with it, erasing his soul from existence entirely. She showed him a symbol on the ground called Ouroboros, which was also tattooed on the chests of the Deados, allowing him to distinguish them from ordinary people when he returned to Earth. Hano also informed him that a lunar eclipse had occurred a month ago, opening the gates of hell in a place known as the Gate. This gate would allow the Deados to escape hell and rise to Earth, avoiding eternal torment. She presented Roy with a contract to sign if he agreed, and he signed it immediately, thinking that he would return to Earth and live as before. However, she began to explain that he would return in a different form and would not be able to communicate with anyone he loved because they would not recognize him in his new appearance. He agreed and signed the contract without hesitation. A tattoo of the Rest in Peace Police was marked on his chest. Hano reminded him that in 2 days, the blood moon would be complete, at which point the Deados would open the gates of hell. He had to stop them before that happened. Hano then sent him to a specific location from which he emerged directly onto Earth. Roy found himself in the place he used to live and met a woman named Jane, who informed him that Hano had sent her to be his partner in this mission. Jane was a knight who had died 445 years ago. Later, the Sons of Samuel gang appeared again, attacking a bank but not to rob it. Their mission is to kidnap people, so they seize several individuals and put them in their car. At that moment, the lawmen arrive, but Zeke, being smart, takes another man with him along with the kidnapped people and leaves 3 of Samuel's sons to lead the way. However, the lawmen arrest them immediately. Meanwhile, Ray watches his daughter from behind the window of the house, but Jane makes him understand that they cannot communicate with her because he has become a different person, and she would not recognize him. Bituri then looks at his reflection in the mirror and sees himself as a dark-skinned woman, realizing that Jane is also a dark-skinned woman like him. He later goes to the cemetery where Roy was buried, and there, Royal's friend, Zahar, arrives at his grave. Zahar encounters 2 women who reveal that they are siblings, and that they visit Roy's grave because he once helped them when their car broke down. From them, he learns that Samuel's sons have kidnapped Angus, Roy's daughter's fiancé, along with other people from the bank, while the lawmen have arrested 3 of the gang members and plan to transfer them to another area for imprisonment. Determined to rescue Angus, he learns that the lawmen's vehicle will pass through a road called Snake Road. Jane warns him that their mission is specific to eliminate the Deados, so they should not get involved in personal matters, but Robbie insists on going to save his daughter's fiancé. He takes a horse and heads to Snake Road, forcing Diet to accompany him, though she is upset. As they wait, the prisoner transport vehicle appears, and Royal begins explaining the history of Samuel's sons, revealing that they were 4 sisters with a brother named Salim. They were once good young men until they worked for an old will who turned them evil. He then realizes that the lawmen arrested 3 of the 5 siblings, but they should only be 4 since their leader Zeke was supposedly killed. He is shocked to see Zeke alive inside the transport vehicle. Meanwhile, on the road, one of the lawmen steps out to use the bathroom and enters the trees, unaware that Rugine is hiding behind a tree. As they observe Samuel's sons, they notice that one of them has a chest mark indicating they belong to Adidas, which also signifies Zeke's presence despite his supposed death. Since Zeke was meant to be killed by a police weapon, they quickly devise a plan. Jim approaches the lawman's vehicle, claiming her sister is sick and offering a bag of silver coins as a bribe. 2 lawmen follow her behind the trees, only to be ambushed. Jim and Ryujin knock them unconscious, then attack the remaining lawmen, overpowering them and tying them up. One of them, however, does not die, as he is already dead. They reach the cage holding 3 of Samuel's sons, and Jim sprays one of them with holy water, causing him to transform into a monstrous entity before exploding when shot. Only 2 remain. One grabs Roy's gun and attempts to kill him, but Jim intervenes just in time. The last one is taken prisoner, along with Salim. Roy then confronts Salim after discovering a wanted notice with his picture, accusing him of killing Roy. Salim denies the accusation, but when threatened with holy water, he confesses that that a man named Otis, the leader of the DOS, is extremely powerful and ordered him and his sisters to kidnap people for an entire month and take them to Red Red. Otis promised to protect the kidnapped individuals because he needed them for a grand mission and threatened to kill Salim and his sisters if they disobeyed. Jane was surprised because a Dedo cannot kill another Dedo. However, Salim explained that Otis, the gang leader, had weapons similar to those of the Rest in Peace department, which shocked Jane because she did not know who could be supplying Otis with such weapons. Roy learned from Selim that Angus was still alive and realized that their mission was the same as his personal goal, to save his daughter's fiancé. This aligned his and Jane's objectives. They tied up Selim and took him with them as they headed toward Red Creek. Upon arriving in Red Creek, we go to the archery and we see Otis. After they left, he dressed the man who was digging at the beginning of the movie, and we see his assistant Nellie, and she tells him that Zeke was injured and kidnapped only 8, but he tells her that they need much more than that to dig the hole of hell as soon as the moon turns bloody, meaning he must dig tonight because the gates of hell will be weak and they will waste time, and then he will get him out of the hole of hell, all the evil spirits, in order to control the war. But he warns her that if they do not manage to dig that night and dawn enters upon them, they will be forced to wait 25 years until the tearful moon and the one after it comes. He knows from Niall that Zeke and his men do not believe in him or trust him, in addition to the fact that they are afraid of Rest in Peace department. In peace, Otis goes to the mail and brings out the Dodes inside him while they are ordering him, and opens his eyes and believes in him, and then kills Zeke with the police gun of the sleeping peacefully who are with him. Of course, it is clear that people are afraid, and they wear gas masks, and he completes the digging, and at that time Royal arrives to his town. Roy and Jane is with them. Salim, after they covered his head so that no one can recognize him, they found it nearly deserted, with only a few sickly people coughing. Roy was puzzled by this situation. They went to a hotel to get a room. The hotel owner, Julius, who was also the town's mayor, refused to rent them a room because of a sign stating that rooms were not rented to people of color, as racism was rampant at the time. Roy threatened him with a gun, forcing him to burn the sign. Julius complied out of fear, especially since they pretended to be bounty hunters who had captured Salem to turn him over to justice. Julius called his assistant, Beverly, who was also a person of color, to show them to their room. Beverly informed them that the town was deserted because most of the people had gone to the old mine to dig for gold. Roy and Jane deduced that the digging was not for gold but to help Otis open the gates of hell. At the same time, the mayor also fell ill and went to Otis, asking for a gas mask, especially since he had fulfilled all of Otis's demands and helped